think you have to look at the metrics in terms of the 5 pillars, and I think the point that Neil made is very important, that this isn't new. So a lot of organisations should already be capturing metrics around these 5 pillars. So you know, what's your measure of how you're managing your ICT risk? You should be capturing, I'm sure everyone is capturing their incidents and reporting those. So you could expect firms to have metrics designed around the period of disruption, for example. How long has any disruption lasted? When we're looking at operational resilience testing, firms would have a metric or have metrics around the testing that they've done, the scenarios that they've run, the outcomes that we would they would expect to see. Third-party risk management. I think the key metric from my perspective on third-party risk management has to be an assessment of how resilient is our third party. And a key point here has to be that if you outsource to a third party, you still remain accountable for the performance of that activity. So you can outsource responsibility for doing it, but you can't outsource accountability. So I think firms need to be assessing on an ongoing basis as part of that third-party risk management life cycle. I think they need to be constantly assessing the resilience of their third parties, and compliance management and reporting would be, you know, are we doing assessments, and are we compliant? That's a kind of high level. I'm sure other people will want to add to that or adopt maybe a different approach.
I think the other thing is that I think for me there's 2 key things with metrics, and you know, many firms are great at, you know, counting things for the sake of counting them, and it's got to drive some kind of behavioural change. And I think that's what the regulators will look for in kind of the management of the ongoing management of you know, the regulation and the compliance with the regulation. You know, for me, linking this back to the critical business services is going to be absolutely key. And that visibility of this isn't a technology problem. It's, you know, this is a business problem. You know, we're protecting critical business services. We are managing the operational resilience of things supporting the critical business services. So measuring the impact on, you know, clients, transactions, you know, the market, you know, understanding the business impact of technology incidents is going to become much more important, I think, going forward, because otherwise you're just, you know, reporting numbers for the sake of it. Many don't have any impact on critical business services, and you want to focus in on, you know, making sure you're reporting accurately versus the regulation.
Yeah, Neil, I'd be interested in your view on this, because I've seen too many organisations where collecting these metrics and presenting them to the various committees becomes some sort of cottage industry.
Yeah.
You have people who really should be, again, managing the risk, and they're managing the data, and they're colouring in spreadsheet squares, different colours, and those sorts of things. And that really isn't the best use of people's time, and it just opens, you know, Jimmy talked about, you know, doing things manually, just open this whole Pandora's box of operational risk incidents. So have you seen firms doing that, Neil? They're kind of manual.
Absolutely. I mean, pages and pages and pages of presentations. I mean, I used to sit through, you know, a monthly operational risk committee focused on technology, which had a deck of 150 pages. You know, and as a management team, we would sit there and dutifully go through all 150 pages, nodding sagely. Whereas actually, the key for me is going back, you know, ultimately as a technology function, we're supporting a business process or a set of business processes. Link the metrics back to the proper business impact. Right? And it's the business teams and the technology teams working in partnership that protect those processes. Yeah. So got to keep it relevant. You're absolutely right. There's a cottage industry in producing, you know, governance and control metrics in, you know, nice big thick PowerPoint packs that show we've got good governance. That's not good governance.